Good evening. Welcome to our regular Board of Trustees meeting. Today is March 26th. We will call to order. We'll have our invocation by Vice President Diane Brown, followed by the pledges of allegiance to the United States and Texas flags. Invocation. Vice President Brown.
Let us bow our head, please. Lord, send us your Holy Spirit to preside over this meeting and help us to work together for your honor and glory. May the work we do today benefit the life of our schools and all who work and serve here in Port Arthur Independent School District. We ask this prayer through our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Ms. Davis, will you please call the roll?
President Ambrose.
Here.
Vice President Brown.
Here.
Secretary Barty.
Here.
Trustee Frank. Trustee Johnson.
Here.
Trustee Lofton.
Here.
Trustee Reed.
Here.
Thank you. Our mission as a primary source of public education in the community is to meet the unique educational needs of our diverse population by providing a comprehensive quality education for the students of the Port Arthur Independent School District. Closed meeting. Under the authority of the Texas Government Code, sections 551.071, 551.074, and 551.082, the board will meet in a closed meeting to 1. Consult with attorney regarding pending or contemplated litigation, including settlement offers and other legal matters in which the duty of the attorney to the governmental body under the Texas Disciplinary Rules of Professional Conduct of the State Bar of Texas are clearly covered by attorney-client privilege. 2. Consider personnel recommendations, Texas Government Code 551.074 as follows. Consider and, if appropriate, approve employment of teachers. Consider and, if appropriate, approve non-renewal probationary contracts. Consider and, if appropriate, approve proposed non-renewal of term contract. Consider and, if appropriate, approve return to probationary status. Consider and, if appropriate, approve renewal of probationary contracts. Consider and, if appropriate, approve renewal of term contracts for professionals. Consider and, if appropriate, approve renewal of term contracts for administrators. Consider and, if appropriate, approve renewal of probationary status of employment contract for administrator. Consider and, if approved, change from term to probationary status of employment. Consider and, if appropriate, approve termination of contract employee. We will now adjourn into closed session. Thank you. Agenda, we have no public participation. We have staff reports regarding MHS track, tennis court, and practice field. Kenneth Gerardo, Texas Sports and Civil Engineering. Please.
Hello, my name is Kenneth Urado. Nice meeting everyone. Before I start, I wanted to just thank everyone just becoming a family member here at the Port Arthur ISD and meeting with the Porty and of course Harvard Blankenship that has helped us quite a bit. This is just kind of like a report of what we've been doing since basically the end of November, since we started the bidding process. So if you can actually look at it first, what we have is, are you guys looking at the same screen? So synthetic turf and the 8-lane track were awarded to Hellas Construction, and the tennis courts were awarded to Fielder's Choice. So right now we just have the overall of what it looked like before we started. So go ahead. So what you guys are going to be seeing next is just the process of what's happened, and we're going to start with the synthetic turf, just to kind of walk you through what, just the process of construction and where they are as of today on the 3 projects.
While you're doing that, Mr. Gerard, what's the timeline of totally being finished with all the projects?
And we have those 3 dates at the end of every one, so you'll know pretty soon. What we did is, and we'll show you, is just the process of construction. I'll tell you what really happened a little, per every photo, picture, and also at the end I'll tell you, hey, it started here in December and it's going to finish April 1st, April 4th, May 1, May 1st, whatever, for those 3 projects. And for every project, whenever you have any questions, or every photo, you can just ask me whenever you can. There you go. Okay, so that's pretty much what the synthetic field, you guys remember, that's the way it looked like. You can just keep going. That's back in the end of November. That picture will show you how Hells started doing the whole demolition of the whole field. All the grass was already removed, and it was all taken into where the football running hill is. It's actually outside the football field. Just another photo of the other view of what it looks whenever it's just being demoed. That shows the process of when it comes down all the way to subgrade. They had to line stabilize the actual subgrade, and we had to do 10 inches over here to be able to make sure that we have a good project, and it doesn't move like it was doing when it was existing. So that's the process when it looks like all white, pretty much. That is when they finalized the line and they were just compacting the actual turf, the actual soils in the turf field. That's just a little more of that. And then the next one will be the other view from the bleachers, just the other view of what they were doing. That shows you just the perforated pipe of the drainage of what it's actually going to be doing. We're going underneath the field, and how it's actually going to be draining. That's why it's really good to have this turf field, because it drains so well through the turf, through the stone that you'll see right now. And hence, they were working late, and they do some trenches, they put a liner underneath, and they place the pipes so it drains like it's supposed to. It's another picture of the pipe and the trench drain. On top of all that, they have 8 inches of rock, of stone, basically. They call it number 57. And they have actually 6 inches of that and 2 inches of fine. And what you see on top is just the 2 inches of fine stone that goes in place, and then that gets compacted, and then you put synthetic turf on top of it. And that's what it looked like back last week, basically. They're flying when weather permitted. They could actually put the turf, and right now, as you can tell, they're just aligning the numbers and making sure that it's all it fits in place. That's just another picture that we took with a drone. Another one, just making sure that it's all lining up.
That's what's in place right now, or what's going to look like?
No. That's what happened last week. You'll see one from today. At the end of this presentation. So for that synthetic turf, they started back in the end of December, in mid-December, and the substantial completion for it is going to be either April 4th. They're telling us April 1st right now, if everything goes well. And after I walked it this morning, it looks like April 1st. So that will be completed. I know the coaches are very happy. The AD is very happy with that. Now we continue with the 8-lane track. Just the existing photo of the existing track back right after the Thanksgiving. Just showing you the demolition plan of it. That shows you when right underneath the track surface, we had existing stone and existing asphalt, and they actually milled it and mix it to be able to give it a better compaction and a better soil underneath that proposed track. Those are the existing fill events. That's showing you how they actually were trying just to remove everything there and place new ones. That's showing you how they already did the line on the track, and they're already placing the track curves that goes, all around the tracks, inner and outer curve. That's another picture showing you just how they place the track curves all around the track. That picture shows you the track curves, but also it's showing you that they had already started compaction on what's the flex base that goes underneath the track. Once that is compacted, they actually place asphalt. It's 3 inches of asphalt that goes right on top of the flex base. Just one more picture right in front of the bleachers. And if you see all that white and all that leveling, the track surface that goes on top of it will fix all of that. It's just the way it looks right now, but they did a good job. That's just the way that fill events look like, and what we're doing, we're putting even irrigation all around the track and all around the fill events, just in case anything happens. They need moist, and they need moisture, and they can just turn it on, and it'll be good for the track and for the fill events. That's just a pole vault area on the other side of the track. Now for the track, they start construction a little later. And the substantial completion they're telling me right now is going to be, I think, before May 8th. We're just placing that at May 8th. But pretty much everything is being done. All we need to do is they need to come back after 28 days when they place the asphalt. The asphalt needs to cure 28 days, and they need that to happen. And once that happens, they'll come back with the track surface. Usually they need a week and a half to 2 weeks, and they'll be done with that. So, and of course, the track coach knows and he's aware of it. We walked it last week. Going down to tennis courts. That's the way it looked. We have those pictures of what it really looked like when we walked in last time with the tennis coach and Harvey. Now this is just showing you with tennis you're not really going to see much because it's just they completely demo everything. They got rid of the fencing, they got rid of everything, and that's what it really looked like when they did demo. And then they had to go down another 10 inches. And you just keep going to the next one. So what it really looks like is they went down another 10 inches, they had to put lime, and now for this one they have to bring 6 inches to 7 inches of select fill to make sure that they treated the subgrade correctly, and then they made up the 6-7 inches that they took out to make sure that the tennis course is actually level and graded correctly. Because it's really, really flat. When you do tennis course, it has to be flat, and you have to give it a little bit positive grade on the tennis course so it could drain. And right now, what they're doing is they're mixing sand with existing soils, and tennis is one of those that because of the last 3 weeks that it really rained, they've been behind. So instead of being done by April or first week of April, now they're going to be 2.5 weeks, I think, behind. But once this process gets behind them, it's just going to be, they're going to come back and they're going to form, they're going to put the slab, and then everything else will be taken care of in 2 weeks. So that's why they said April 26th will be pretty much done. And they also started mid-January.
Good question. Is it a part of the normal construction process to stabilize the earth with lime?
Yes.
For all projects?
Not for all projects, no. So normally a geotechnical engineer comes to you with a report and tells you and gives you options. One of the options will be you have to put 7 inches to a foot of select fill, which will cost you $300,000 to do. When they tell you and give you an option for lime, it will cost you half of that. So that's why most projects, they tend to do lime. And with lime is either They can do hydrogen lime, or they can do a different percentage of lime, and it all depends on the test that they took, and how much you want the soil to actually rise. So there's a potential vertical rise that you actually have or give the soil, which normally is between half an inch to 1 inch, and then that's when they create the actual percentage of the lime. Once you give that to the actual contractor, they have to have that percentage in line to separate before you do anything to the project.
And what's the life expectancy?
The life expectancy for what we're doing right now should be that you would have to replace the track surface in either 9 to 11 years. That's it, nothing else. 9 to 11 years. And same with the synthetic turf, and it will be the same for the tennis. Because what we've done is we've created a subgrade, and we've compacted the subgrade so it doesn't mess up. So if you're going to change anything, what you're going to do is just change the surface. Not really, and I'm saying between 8 to 10 years. Normally I would tell you 11 or 12, but I just want to make sure that that's what the contract should tell me to do. But normally it should give you another 10 to 11 before you replace the synthetic turf. But it will be just the turf itself, not go all the way down to actually do.
Madam President,
Yes, Trustee.
questions I have. Are you finished with your presentation, or is there something else that you wanted to share?
That's what we did today. I'm sorry. Just the way it looks. They were putting rubber, obviously, on the turf, and the asphalt is completely ready. Everything is really done. That's why I said that the turf should be ready pretty soon, so they can practice on.
So my questions are these. First of all, we kind of were mentioning it to the superintendent. What would be the feasibility and the cost of putting a logo on that field?
It would take for us to talk to Hellas and give us a number. Normally, it depends on how big the logo will be. What I've seen before, it runs from anywhere from $3,500 to $6,000 to put a logo in. Is it doable? Yes, it is. Now that Hellas is on site still and doing it for us, we could ask and tell them, hey, this is what we really want, and help us. See what
Superintendent's permission. We'd like to, so with that, could we find out that?
Yeah, we'll get partners who work with the Bureau, and we can figure out some prices.
And I guess while we're figuring, we may as well try to paint the end zones if we could, maybe, possibly.
Yes, I mean, that's if that.
Whatever. I was just thinking about the logo, but anything else that we wanted to think about. Since we are going to be, our mindset is that this field is being used to promote school spirit, and it's going to be playing games. Individuals are going to be coming and looking at it. So we're looking at it being our baby Memorial Stadium. But that kind of aspect from it, so we wanted to have a dressy field, even though it's going to be used for practice as well.
No, I understand. What I can do, and I'll talk to Harvey about it, is just get your number for the logo, get your number for the end zones, and make you guys make a decision.
Okay. My other question is, are the tennis courts being placed back on the same place that the other tennis courts were?
Very close to where they are, yes.
There was very poor drainage on those tennis courts. Let me just ask this question. What's the surface going to be on these tennis courts? Is it clay, rubber? What's the surface?
It's called a tennis surface coat, which is really this brand is called Laco, and the reason why it was poor drainage, because there was no lime, and it was the question that you had. There was no lime down in the top grade. When geotech, and we used the geotech that everybody uses here in Port Arthur for ISD, he actually came call me and said, Kenneth, there's no top grade lime treatment in tennis at all. I said, well, that's the reason why this is doing this. And whenever you had games, and you saw one of the pictures where it just went up and down.
Doc, let me just hold on. Let me just do a little bit.
So Doc, have we informed the company that put the tennis court in initially what the findings have been?
We'll talk.
All right, we'll talk. So because that lime is going, so now that lime is being put on those tennis courts, that will solve the problem that we've had with the drainage?
Yes, sir. That will solve the planarity of any sport event. Once you have, the main thing what happens in tennis is they're really treating this subgrade, and all of us, not just me, myself, but Harvey has been working with me about making sure that this stays, and we've been taking proctors, and it has to come out positive and pass. If it doesn't pass, like tennis, it's on hold for 2 more days. They have to keep mixing to make sure that the PI is the right percentage, and we go from there after that. So yes, sir, planarity is the reason why it's going to drain the way it's going to drain is because the lime, and just it could be chemical treatment if you want, but the actual subgrade needs to be treated correctly.
And so let me just make sure, and if it doesn't, and I take you at your word, and you have said you would put the lime and all that is going to happen and transpire, but if there is a drainage problem, you stand behind your word and saying that you will do whatever is needful and necessary to fix it.
Correct.
Secretary Barty?
Yes, I'm looking at the field. Beautiful job. Thank you for fixing that for us. But the question I have: how often do we have to put the rubber back down on foot? You know, when we have the use on the field, how often do we have to reapply that?
So in my specifications, we are giving the district with Ellis equipment. It's called like a groomer, and what they do is after they're done, they teach the maintenance department to how to groom. So to bring back rubber, and they leave sacks of rubber just in case they're going to storage. I've seen it maybe once a year, but it has to be maintained to a point where once every 2-3 weeks they just go with a groomer and just go around it, make sure after, you know, before a good game that you guys want to play, you want to make sure that you actually groom it and sweep it. We call it groom it and sweep it and make sure that it's cleaned. But it's not a maintenance issue at all.
I will say that we have an excellent maintenance department in the way of Brian Singleton. Brian takes care of those fields like they're his own home. He's out there on the baseball fields, he's out there at the stadium, he has the equipment. I've seen him out there at 9 o'clock at night working in those fields. So I don't think we'll have an issue with Brian taking on the ownership of the fields and making sure that they're properly. We'll have to be trained, as you said. I don't think we've had that before. We haven't had training, and that's the answer, getting training for our individual, for our maintenance people.
And he already requested maintenance,
Exactly.
and Hellas is giving him.
Right. Now, did you say that the equipment is going to be in that with that?
Yes.
Well, he's giving us the equipment.
Yes.
So
It's already in the
hospital field
Yes.
and office.
Correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Trustees? Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, guys.
Minutes. Consider and if appropriate approve the minutes for the February 28, 2019 board meeting. Is there a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by trustee Reed, second by Vice President Brown. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The minutes are approved for the February 28 board meeting. Consent agenda. Trustees, if you will take a few moments, consider items 1 through 13. Once you have reviewed those items, I will ask for a motion.
Madam President, make a motion that these items be accepted and approved.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
I second.
It's been motioned by trustee Frank, second by trustee Lofton. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The consent agenda is approved. Personnel, Dr. Porter.
Thank you, President Ambrose. I have given you, for your consideration, Well, first of all, let me say I'm going to ask to pull the third from the last, renewal of probationary status of employment contracts for employees. I have given you the list of teachers for your consideration: employment as teachers, non-renewal of probationary contracts, proposed non-renewal term contract, return to probationary status, 4th year, renewal of probationary contracts, renewal of term contracts for professionals, renewal of term contracts for administrators, change from term to probationary status of employment, and termination of contract employee.
I'll call for a motion.
Madam President, I move that the personnel report be accepted as written.
Motion by Trustee Johnson, second by Vice President Brown. All those in favor say aye. Aye. The personnel part of the agenda is approved. Information, Dr. Porter.
Enrollment for the month of February, 8,322. Attendance percentage, 93.68%.
Thank you, trustees. You've heard the report of the agenda for this board meeting. Any questions or concerns? If not, we'll call for adjournment.
Just want to say one thing.
Excuse me, yes, sir. Trustee Frank.
No, I just wanted to thank the staff and thank Dr. Porter today for a wonderful state of the school that we had today. I'm just so excited about our students and about all that is happening at the best kept secret in Southeast Texas, Decatur. So, man, just so appreciated, and all of you are to be commended for what you did on today and for what you're doing for the students of Port Arthur and the school district every day. So, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll call for adjournment.
So moved.
Saturday.
We are adjourned. Have a good evening.